At that moment, the Lord of Lanka, being permitted by the Blessed One, rose from his seat on the peak of the jewel mountain, which shone like the jewel lotus, immaculate and shining in splendor. He was surrounded by a large company of celestial maidens, and all kinds of garlands, flowers, perfumes, incense, unguents, umbrellas, banners, flags, necklaces, half-necklaces, diadems, tiaras, and other ornaments whose splendor and excellence were never heard of or seen before, were created. Music was playing, surpassing anything that could be had by the gods, nagas, yakshas, rakshasas, gandharvas, kinnaras, maharagas, and men. Musical instruments were created equal to anything that could be had in all the world of desire, and also such superior musical instruments were created as were to be seen in the Buddha lands. The Blessed One and the bodhisattvas were enveloped in a net of jewels. A variety of dresses and high banners was made rising high in the air, as high as 7 tala trees, to greet the Buddha, showering great clouds of offerings, playing music which resounded all around, and then, descending from the air, the Lord of Lanka sat down on the peak of the jewel mountain, ornamented with magnificent jewel lotus, whose splendor was second only to the sun and lightning. Sitting, he made curtsy, smiling first to the Blessed One for his permission, and proposed him a twofold question. It was asked of the Tathagatas of the past, who were arhats, fully enlightened ones, and it was solved by them. Blessed One, now I ask of thee. The request will certainly be complied with by thee as far as verbal instruction is concerned, as it was by Buddhas of the past. Blessed One, duality was discoursed upon by the transformed Tathagatas and Tathagatas of transformation, but not by the Tathagatas of silence. The Tathagatas of silence are absorbed in the blissful state of samadhi. They do not discriminate concerning this state, nor do they discourse on it. Blessed One, thou assuredly wilt discourse on this subject of duality. Thou art thyself a master of all things, an arhat, a Tathagata. The sons of the Buddha and myself are anxious to listen to it. The Blessed One said, Lord of Lanka, tell me what you mean by duality. The Lord of the Rakshasas, who was renewed in his ornaments, full of splendor and beauty, with a diadem, bracelet, and necklace strung with vajra thread, said, It is said that even dharmas are to be abandoned, and how much more adharmas. Blessed One, why does this dualism exist that we are called upon to abandon? What are adharmas, and what are dharmas? How can there be a duality of things to abandon? A duality that arises from falling into discrimination, from discriminating self-substance where there is none, from the idea of things created and uncreated. Because the non-differentiating nature of the alaya vijnana is not recognized? Like the seeing of a hair circle as really existing in the air, the notion of dualism belongs to the realm of intellection, not exhaustively purgated. This being the case as it should be, how could there be any abandonment of dharmas and adharmas? Said the Blessed One, Lord of Lanka, seest thou not that the differentiation of things, such as is perceived in jars and other breakable objects whose nature it is to perish in time, takes place in a realm of discrimination cherished by the ignorant? This being so, is it not to be so understood? It is due to discrimination, cherished by the ignorant, that there exists differentiation of dharma and adharma. Noble wisdom, or Arya Jnana, however, is not to be realized by seeing things this way. Lord of Lanka, let it be so with the ignorant who follow the particularized aspect of existence, that there are such objects as jars, etc., but it is not so with the wise. One flame of uniform nature rises up depending on houses, mansions, parks, and terraces, and burns them down. while a difference in the flames is seen according to the power of each burning material, which varies in length, magnitude, etc. This being so, why is it not to be so understood? The duality of dharma and adharma thus comes into existence. Not only is there seen a fire flame spreading out in one continuity and yet showing a variety of flames, but from one seed, Lord of Lanka, are produced also in one continuity stems, shoots, knots, leaves, petals, flowers, fruit, branches, all individualized. As it is with every external object from which grows a variety of objects, so also with internal objects. From ignorance there develop the skandhas, dhatus, ayatanas, with all kinds of objects accompanying, which grow out in the triple world, where we have, as we see, happiness, form, speech, and behavior, each differentiating infinitely. The oneness of the Vijnana is grasped variously according to the evolution of an objective world. Thus there are seen things inferior, superior, and middling, things defiled and free from defilement, things good and bad. Not only, Lord of Lanka, is there such a difference of conditions in things generally, there is also seen a variety of realizations attained innerly by each yogin as he treads the path of discipline which constitutes his practice. How much more difference in dharma and adharma do we not see in a world of particulars which is evolved by discrimination? Indeed we do. Lord of Lanka, the differentiation of dharma and adharma comes from discrimination. Lord of Lanka, what are dharmas? That is, they are discriminated by the discriminations cherished by the philosophers, Shravakas, Pratyeka Buddhas, and ignorant people. They think that the dharmas headed by quality and substance are produced by causes. These are the notions to be abandoned. Such are not to be regarded as real because they are appearances, or lakshana. It comes from one's clinging to appearances that manifestations of his own mind are regarded as reality or dharmata. Such things as jars, etc., are products of discrimination conceived by the ignorant. They exist not. Their substances are not attainable. The viewing of things from this viewpoint is known as their abandonment. What then are adharmas? Lord of Lanka, dharmas are unattainable as to their selfhood. They are not appearances born of discrimination. They are above causality. There is in them no such dualistic happening as is seen as reality and non-reality. This is known as the abandoning of dharmas. What again is meant by the unattainability of dharmas? That is, it is like the horns of a hare, or an ass, or a camel, or a horse, or a child conceived by a barren woman. They are dharmas, the nature of which is unattainable. They are not to be thought of as real because they are appearances. They are only talked about in popular parlance if they have any sense at all. They are not to be adhered to, as in the case of jars, etc. As these unrealities are to be abandoned as not comprehensible by the mind or vijnana, so are things, or bhavha, of discrimination also to be abandoned. This is called the abandoning of dharmas and adharmas. Lord of Lanka, your question as to the way of abandoning dharmas and adharmas is hereby answered. Lord of Lanka, thou sayest again that thou hast asked this question of the Tathagatas of the past, who were arhats and fully enlightened ones, and that it was solved by them. Lord of Lanka, that which is spoken of as the past belongs to discrimination. As the past is thus a discriminated idea, even so are the ideas of the future and the present. Because of reality, or dharmata, the Tathagatas do not discriminate. They go beyond discrimination and futile reasoning. They do not follow the individuation aspect of forms or rupa, except when reality is disclosed for the edification of the unknowing and for the sake of their happiness. It is by transcendental wisdom, or prajna, that the Tathagata performs deeds transcending forms. Therefore, what constitutes the Tathagatas in essence as well as in body is wisdom, or jnana. They do not discriminate, nor are they discriminated. Wherefore, do they not discriminate the manas? Because discrimination is of the self, of soul, of personality. How do they not discriminate? The manovijnana is meant for the objective world where causality prevails as regards forms, appearances, conditions, and figures. Therefore, discrimination and non-discrimination must be transcended. Lord of Lanka, beings are appearances. They are like figures painted on the wall. They have no sensibility or consciousness. Lord of Lanka, all that is in the world is devoid of work and action because all things have no reality, and there is nothing heard, nothing hearing. Lord of Lanka, all that is in the world is like an image magically transformed. This is not comprehended by the philosophers and the ignorant. Lord of Lanka, he who thus sees things is the one who sees truthfully. Those who see things otherwise walk in discrimination. As they depend on discrimination, they cling to dualism. It is like seeing one's own image reflected in a mirror, or one's own shadow in the water, or in the moonlight, or seeing one's shadow in the house, or hearing an echo in the valley. People grasping their own shadows of discrimination uphold the discrimination of dharma and adharma, and, failing to carry out the abandonment of the dualism, they go on discriminating and never attain tranquility. By tranquility is meant oneness, and oneness gives birth to the highest samadhi, which is gained by entering into the womb of Tathagatahood, which is the realm of noble wisdom realized in one's inmost self. The first chapter, called Ravana asking for instruction.